This is a time of global instability. But you know, when I think about this, I don't know that there ever was a time when things were stable, right? We're definitely more exposed today, definitely more exposed through news channels, through websites. We know a lot more that's going on. You know, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you kind of knew what was happening in your town. Things were a little bit more comfortable. But now we hear about things all over the world. And when a flu breaks out in Mexico, it means we've got to worry here in Greece, we've got to worry in Australia. When CEOs are asked, you know, what's important for their organization now, and over the past few years and in the future, innovation is always in the top 5. Always. Sometimes it gets up to number 2. Because we can produce things in similar ways all over the world. The organizations that do well do it very innovatively. There's real distinct differences in the population and the demographics. Real distinct, we're finding that. Now, all the research up until a few years ago was about baby boomers. What was so significant about baby boomers? Well, they really were well defined. It was a massive word boom. It was a massive population boom after World War II when people were feeling pretty happy and optimistic about the future. And if you look at the demographic trends, for several years, kind of plateaued. I'm a Generation X, not a great, you know, announcement of population. But then suddenly, millennials happened, and that was this big peak. So I'll use numbers for the US, but you can extrapolate for the rest of the world. The baby boomers represented about 78 million Americans. Not too bad when you think of the population being, you know, back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, still around 150, 200 million people. Big chunk of babies, right, being born over a short period of time. And then years go by, you have the plateau, and then you have the millennials. 79 million people, all born within a short period of time. So the greatest amount of Americans born in the shortest amount of time. If you're a school kid today, I'm not talking about millennial people who are about to join the workforce, even a little bit younger. You're going to have between 11 and 14 distinct jobs by the age of 38. Okay, so that makes me think, well, aren't, you know, the new folks going to be hopping jobs like crazy? Well, part of it is because they want to, because it's interesting, creates a challenge, makes your life interesting. But the data around millennials says, actually, we'd like to spend more time with the company. We don't want to hop around, and that's what this slide says. More people would rather be with 1 or 2 companies in their lifetimes, really good companies where they're loyal, rather than skipping. Let's see, who has a Facebook account in here? That's about 2/3 of the total number. I mean, it's ubiquitous. That was the most impressive response I got. That was almost everybody. Facebook they made a big hullabaloo about the fact that they just passed 200 million users, registered users. Facebook users are very, very loyal. They keep going back. It's very sticky. 100 million logins at least once every day. And this is the greatest number of all. What do you think that number is? 850 million. Yes, this is the amount of pictures uploaded, thank you, per month. 850 million photographs. It's the biggest photo sharing site in the world. What are they sharing? And the question is, what did they do with the photographs before Facebook? Now they're going to die on Facebook. That's a lot of photographs. So, if you are in the marketing department, you need to know and you need to understand social media, how to get involved and connect with people using new technology. We talked about eyeballs, remember that? People moving from the television to the internet. You know, if you're in marketing, you kind of need to understand that. If people are using cell phones, mobile devices, more than they're using even their computers, and even more than television, you've got to get your message on the cell phone, and it's different media. How are you going to reach people? Same thing. If you're going to recruit, you can't just put stuff in the newspaper. I know, we haven't done that for years, right? But you're going to have stuff in your website. But you're going to get those promotions, those recruitment efforts, you're going to have to push all sorts of devices and all sorts of new channels. You're going to have to be pretty savvy. If you're looking for a job, you're going to have to know and kind of know how to use those tools, how to use them smartly. Because the people who do them and use them smartly, that's the advantage that they're going to have over those that don't. But where do people go for credible information? I think this is a really important question. And it's important because it changes. It's changing where people are going. Right? You know, maybe your best friend is your credible source, or your parents, or a professor. But the number that really jumped out to me, and I want to highlight for you, is the last number of all, bloggers. Right? 12% of people consider blogging to be a credible source of information. So that's more than 1 in 10. So some risks there, right? How do you verify bloggers? But it does indicate one thing, which is the absolute value that people see now in not only being a consumer of a blogger, the importance, if you want to connect, to be successful, of being a blogger. 60% of organizations believe the introduction of social media into their organization can damage productivity. Okay, and I want to differentiate here something. That's belief versus reality. So we know, what people perceive or believe is their reality. The numbers for actual productivity are very different. Right? So there is a belief, and there's some ways to go to change that perception. Someone in here is going to be probably very famous. Someone in here might be the Prime Minister or President of Greece. Somebody in here might be an important CEO or industrialist. Your online brand isn't going to go away. You know, years ago, before the internet, all of 15, 20 years ago, something was in the newspaper, it kind of got lost. If this something's on the internet, it never goes away. That's kind of a spooky idea. So be real careful about photographs you upload or the types of messages you give about yourself, about your online brand. Because I guarantee, if it's bad, it's going to come back. It won't go away. You can't delete stuff on the internet, that's a myth. You can't delete it. It replicates everywhere. So that's a very profound point. Think about what your brand is, if you haven't already created one. And if you have one, tweak it. Clean it up. I talk today like everyone's doing this. We saw some numbers where it does show that there's great adoption, there's some participation. But here's the secret I'm just going to tell you and nobody else. Right? So when I leave here, I'll never say this again. So this is your competitive advantage. There are tremendous first mover opportunities in all these areas. There is, again, somebody in this room, more than one, many, who will be the next millionaire or billionaire from a startup or an organization that will take advantage of some of this. I guarantee that. Take a look at the trends, understand this stuff, and there's great opportunity. There's opportunity for organizations that are established. If you're a brand, say you're established, and you're not kind of looking at this and experimenting with it, you're losing a great opportunity. If you'd like to know more, if any of this hit a spot with you, you can contact me through either directly through my email address. I'm very accessible. And if you'd like to know what I'm thinking from time to time, it's my crazy thoughts, or would like to actually be part of the conversation I'm having with a lot of different people around the world, you can join me on Twitter. And no cost. It's a very easy and transparent way to engage with me.